Alright, still got our Tanuki suit, 99 lives. Mario is going to be joining us in a bit, I'm told. Things are looking up as we are roughly halfway through this Super Mario Bros. 3 walkthrough. And I use that phrase advisedly because we are literally going up here now on Skyland. I recommend having at least a Super Mushroom or being Super Mario, full-size Mario before you come here. Hit that third from the right box to get yourself a star. While you have the star, hit this one to get a second star. And then clear out these chain chomps. There's a super leaf in that box right there, so you can grab that if you don't have one. You're going to need one to fly here in a second. Clear out this space. We wanted to kill that chain chomp just so we could have enough runway, so we can fly up here. Actually, being Tanuki Mario, we could have just statued on top of those chain chomps, but that's how you do it without it. Just have those stars. And there's a secret up above there we'll grab in just a minute, but we're going to go through this pipe first. Go to the right, hit these boxes, these blocks, we can grab ourselves 4 extra lives. Not too shabby. Now we're going to head back into the tube, the pipe right here, build up some speed, and then at the last second we're going to duck before we start flying. And you'll see why. So duck when you have that P, and then jump, and you will float up as if you're flying. And then once you get back up, it'll force you to go to the right here. And just like that, we get ourselves a music box. Thankfully, we're not trapped here. It lets us complete the stage just like that. And we're on to 5-2. Do yourself a favor when you drop through this pipe. Be very careful as you're dropping down. You can use the raccoon tail to stagger your drop if you have one, to make sure you land on that musical note block a little bit more safely. Still have our Tanuki suit. Don't want to jinx it, but if you drop down, it's a different way to get back out. If we go through this pipe here, you can grab 3 extra lives. We really don't need them at this point, so we're just gonna press on. And just like that, we are at the end of this stage. It's on to 5-3 now, which is a very special level. It is the soul appearance of one of the items which Blaze mentioned earlier. And I use that term advisedly, soul appearance. We'll have Fluff mention it as we're just trying to burn through some stuff which won't change our form right now. Open up a couple slots for ourselves. I do like that music box theme. These are all Tanuki suits, by the way. Doesn't matter which one you pick. I can pretend that 3 was the best box there once again, but no, really, all those would have generated a Tanuki suit. Keep it fair. Keep it fair. 5-3. This is another instance where you took the time to make this particular item, Nintendo. Why doesn't it appear in more than one stage? There it is. Kuribo's shoe. And there's actually, so you jump on it and it disappears. So the way you want to get one is to go underneath at this section and just hit the block. And there you go. We're in the shoe. Kuribo's shoe. Fluff, what's with that name?
The power-up Kuribo's shoe is actually the Japanese name for the power-up, but it was left unchanged for the English release. Kuribo is simply the Japanese word for Goomba.
Oh, really is that simple. Thank you very much, Fluff. There you go. Yeah, I don't remember if it was related to when this game was out, but at some point in the mid-90s, I distinctly remember Goombas being the toy in the McDonald's Happy Meal when I was a kid. I'm sure they've pulled that out a few times over the years as we bounce to the end of the stage, and unfortunately we can't take, even if we have it intact, it just disappears. Very sad. At least donate it, or, you know, just recycle it, give it to another Goomba. I don't even know if I want to hit that at this point. We have way too many items. especially when we hang on to him as well as we do with our Tanuki suit. Been getting a lot of mileage. This thing probably smells pretty bad by now, actually. Didn't think about that. Another star that we absolutely do not need. Ah, just out of range. This other hammer brother, I believe, gives us a P-wing, so much more valuable item, these pair of hammer brothers. The somersault is just so unnecessary, I love it. I think I will go back and do the match game to the left here. It was a wind-up Goomba toy to finish that thought. Had little feet and walked around. Good times. Not really sure what they put in McDonald's Happy Meals now. Actually, no, that's not true. My nieces were visiting recently, and we went to McDonald's and got them a Happy Meal, or got them both Happy Meals. And I guess this was a little bit after the Super Mario Brothers movie that we referenced in opening with Mario. It had just come out, so I guess they were doing a tie-in with that, so yeah, it was all Mario-themed toys. I feel like they do that every 5 years or so, do a tie-in there. Alright, so this one, you want to build up some speed, and then fly through these bricks. Try to avoid that and go all the way to the top here and drop through this pipe. And this arrow trying to tell us something. Got a one up there, got a one up there, and one more if we had the speed. There we go, and a one up there. Not too shabby. It spits us out here, which is not too far from the Boom Boom. Thread the needle here, still trying to hold on. This is a great instance where the raccoon tail really works for baiting that thwomp and then just pulling back. Not having to commit to a jump and risk falling into the lava. And once again, that strategy works out incredibly well. Mini fact, I believe if you take down one of those Boom Booms, we'll have a chance to do it later. It's very difficult. There's one or two fortresses where if you where there's a star near the end of the stage when you take on the Boom Boom, and if you can get to the Boom Boom in time and beat them with the star, then I believe it turns that orb that you pick up upside down. Doesn't even qualify as a fluff fact. I'm gonna stay in my lane as we use our first P-wing now. This is optional, but just to show you what you can do here as we are transitioning up to the sky. Sky portion of Skyland. We did the land portion, now we're going up to the sky. And the P-wing helps us out for accessing some interesting stuff here in Skyland. Just makes it a little bit easier in this particular sort of fortress stage right here. Just gotta make sure we hold on to it. Need to get rid of the Tanuki suit though, I have to say. We kept that going. At least we gave it up on our terms, so you can go up and over the wall right here. And doing this will earn you, it's kind of difficult to collect this one while you're flying, but you can grab a 1-up right there. So I think the screen is meant to scroll up here, and we should be able to see where these two other blocks are, but for whatever reason, it's just the camera is stuck right here, so we're just sort of blindly flying around trying to find this last block, and collecting that 1-up is, yeah, it's gonna be impossible that way, but there you go. You can only access those via the P-wing. Certainly not worth sacrificing one of the best items in the game, probably the best item in the game, in the P-wing. When extra lives are so easy to come by, especially using like the trick we showed earlier. But we pop out here, there's a beanstalk to the right, which we'll show you. It's just in that block right there, the normal block. And then come on outside a pipe right there. And we are now in the clouds on 5-4. This would be a good stage for the P-Wing, actually. We can make use of... Now it's just a normal raccoon tail, but we can make use of flying up to this first little cloud section. Use as much of this as possible. Just use this as a runway and avoid as many of these platforms as we can, these flipping platforms. That slowed our momentum down, unfortunately, but even without it, I think we can just float on down to the end of the stage right here, and you didn't miss anything. It's just some difficult platforming with those flipping platforms. They literally flip. I'm not censoring myself or anything there. You saw them, they flip. So that's how we recommend doing that. On to 5-5, which is the White Mushroom House stage. Here the number to collect is 28 coins, which isn't too difficult on this one, so we need to get to 85 in our own game. If you knock the 2 blocks off of this rightmost pipe and drop down, grab a bunch of coins, and more importantly, we can replace our Tanuki suit that we had to give up for that P-Wing to show that rather underwhelming secret there in that last, or a couple stages ago. There are plenty of super leaves here, and I didn't do that very well. Oh well. That's alright. We grab another 14 coins. There's a few more to the left that we missed when we took that shortcut, so double back here. There's also, alright, well, whatever. There's a power-up in this leftmost block right there. Then we need to grab a few of these, just basically get in the middle between 2, write it down, and then jump at the last second. And now we have all the coins we need to unlock that, well, alright. If we survive. A little sloppy play here on 5-5. May cost us our first. No, we're okay. And we got ourselves, I think, this is an odd number level, so we're going to get ourselves a P-Wing here. Replace the one that we blew in that couple stages ago. Nice. Alright, looking good. And that mushroom house in the top right is another chance. That's a 1 in 3 chance to get another Tanuki suit, actually. Alongside, I guess, a fire flower and a leaf. Oh well. Not gonna be mad about it. The third box has paid out pretty well throughout this Super Mario Bros. 3 walkthrough so far, so... A little late. Ah, that should have been good. Alright. Yeah, they are extremely sticklerish. If I can kind of invent a word right here on the spot about those checkpoints on the star in particular. Get another music box for the collection. We have a massive rave outside of Bowser's castle when we're burning through all these items, playing all these music boxes, pulling them up like John Cusack and Say Anything. This isn't the worst stage to have some sort of tail, honestly. These parabeetles act a little counterintuitively. They start to sink and you just think they're going to take you down to the bottom, but then they start to fly back up to the top, which actually kind of helps us in the long run. But there's a super leaf waiting for you right there. Help us stagger our drops a little bit more effectively now. There's a P switch in one of these blocks underneath here. Changes these platforms up a little bit. Just be very careful when the music wears off, because make sure you're on this platform right here at least, or over here, even better. Otherwise you will more than likely fall to your death right there. Just a lost Lakitu. Level was back there, man. He's confused. This mushroom house right here, the items is just your standard mushroom, fire flower, and super leaf. Do I have how much space have I got at this point? Okay. Got at least 6 slots open here. And I'm curious, we're not going to use this. What happens if we... Okay, then. Alright, on to 5-7 here, as we burn through a few more items. But actually, let's see if we can't get ourselves one more of the super leaves here in the 3rd box. Did not mean to pick that up, I was just firing. We'll never know now. We had a 50-50 chance of that being a super leaf there at the end. Alright, so this is an interesting stage. There's a stage within the stage. As we drop down here to the right. Actually, kind of a tricky, really not worth it for me to try, but I'll show you nonetheless. One up right there. Be very careful, make sure you're coming back after that jump, but go through the pipe. You want to grab yourself a super leaf right there. And then start flying, and you want to be 2 to the right of that leftmost one right there to hit that switch, or at least make it appear. And now we want to be 1 to the right of this post, knock through the blocks, and we might need to come back in one more time. We can grab a whole mess of coins up here in the clouds. There we go. Drop back down to the floor and fly back up once again. Grab a few more of these before time runs out. That's alright. And then we can run over to the right, jump over the wall, and just like that, we've beaten the level. I like that. Alright, joining us once again after that dust up in World 3, it's Mario, everybody. Thanks for coming back, Mario.
Mario here wants 2 tote bags apiece when you have him on for Dr. Mario. And next time you play Mario's song, you better dress up like a Mario.
Sure, Mario. Yeah, next time I'm living in New York City and playing in a ska band 13 years ago, yeah, I'll dress up like you at a Halloween show.
Damn right.
Well, let's get back to Super Mario Bros. 3, if we can. I was too young to really remember much about when this game came out, and I mentioned this earlier, I remember there never having quite been a video game release like Super Mario Bros. 3. It was probably the first big anticipated video game in history, and I think a lot of our class, they'd really be interested in what your memories were from that time.
Well, you see, we had a biggest budget on SMB3 after the success of everything, and we had the major movie tie-in with the Wizard, and that meant we had craft service. Oh, the pasta dishes they had. You'd not believe the size of the meatballs, Professor. And they had a whole cannoli tray of vanilla, pistachio, chocolate. Oh, Mario's mouth watered just to think about it.
So, a lot of pasta and good food?
Yes, it was delicious.
Okay, well, not that I don't appreciate that, but I think we're going to bring in Fluff to maybe supplement some of those memories just a little bit with some fun facts about the game's cultural impact and the making of the game, if you don't mind.
How are you not fire that cat yet, Professor? He did wait.
Fluff? No, we've had our differences over the years, but he's quite knowledgeable and he's a good cat. Hey, Fluff.
Hello again, Professor. Hello, Mario.
Hello, cat. Now, if you don't excuse me, I'm gonna have to come back later, Mario. His allergies are acting up.
Yeah, right. Well, Mario was right in that Super Mario Bros. 3 budget was pretty sizable, as the production budget ballooned to over $1 million, which was particularly expensive for games at the time. While most games of that era were completed in production cycles of 3 to 6 months, development on Super Mario Bros. 3 began shortly after the release of Super Mario 2 on the Japanese Famicom in 1986. And it took over 2 years to complete, even with its relatively large production team of over 10 people. Music composer Koji Kondo returned to provide a number of new themes, as well as adaptations of selections from his score from the original Super Mario Bros., and Mario series creator and developer Shigeru Miyamoto served as director on the game and encouraged creative and original ideas from his team. Many elements of the game were inspired by personal experiences. The infamous Chain Chomp enemy's inspiration, for instance, came from an early childhood memory of Miyamoto's, in which an aggressive dog which was tied up lunged at him. Bowser's Koopa Kids, the Koopalings, each had a unique design and personality, and were each purportedly named after an eclectic group of famous musicians. Ludwig von Koopa was named for Ludwig von Beethoven, Roy Koopa for Roy Orbison, Iggy for Iggy Pop, Lemmy for Lemmy Kilmister of Motorhead, Wendy for Wendy O. Williams of the Plasmatics, and Morton for Morton Downey Jr., a late-night talk show host. Larry is the odd Koopa out, and he was purportedly named as such just because he looked like a Larry. Super Mario Bros. 3 went through a lot of changes during its development cycle. For instance, initially the team intended the game to play from an isometric point of view, like that of Marble Madness, before the developers decided it made the platforming elements too difficult, and instead they reverted back to the two-dimensional view of the previous games. The game also featured an early idea of Mario changing into a centaur before they settled on a raccoon tail with limited flying abilities. There are also a number of levels which were shown in early VHS promotional tapes but didn't make it into the game, which can still be accessed via Game Genie codes. There are also images from before the game's release, which suggest that there were 2 additional minigames which didn't make it into the final game, which featured a Koopa Troopa and a Hammer Brother as the game's hosts.
And maybe if they had had 3 years, thanks Fluff, that's a crazy amount of time to be developing a video game in the mid-80s, I have to say. Just based on, we've done a lot of classes, a lot of walkthroughs here on Video Games 101, and yeah, a lot of games which were made in the mid to late 80s, and yeah, you'll hear stories like Battle of Olympus, fantastic game, but a team of, I think, 3 people, maybe 4, churned that game out in about 3 months. It's crazy to think about. Just makes those games all the more impressive, but I digress. Gary?
Boss beaters.
Right, Roy Koopa, finally something a little different. You want to make sure you're in the air when he lands. Note that he does the double jump. You want to jump on his head, retreat left to right wherever you have more room. But yeah, the main thing is you don't want to be stunned by his weight when he comes down. And you just jump on his head before he gets his shots off. You'll take him down.
So wow, I honestly thought Roy Koopa was going for more of like a wrestler vibe with his mask or whatever, but now that I can see that those are like Roy Orbison sunglasses, it all makes sense now. Never would have made that connection as a kid. That's pretty cool. What's less cool, are his legs, his beard? Does his beard have legs? I never really understood the animation of that particular king, but got ourselves another cloud which we can blow foolishly like we did the last one. As we're now in Iceland. Not that Iceland. I do like the music here though. Simple as it is. Iceland is, I believe, the largest world in the game. As we fly up here, little secret area. And the ice is nice and kind of necessary to slide through some of these. If you get back in time, we can get through here. If not, you can use the tail, but just in the interest of cleaning everything up, that's nice. Use our residual flight here just to hang to the right and skip a bit more of this stage. Just be very careful when you're coming back down. Got these spitting piranha plants. Tuies, I think some of them are called. spit their little spiked balls out. And I think we're done with the match game at this point. Not this match game, but the card game. Still like to try my my theory on the there we go. It's very satisfying, even though we don't need the lives. Very satisfying nonetheless. We have another horizontal scrolling stage here. Again, the tail is recommended to stagger your drops here. I'll give you one right there if you don't have one already. If you're quick, you can use these platforms and jump up and over, otherwise we need to act quickly and smash it out with our tail. You might think this is the White Mushroom House stage with the way the coins are oriented and the limited time they're giving you to collect them, but no. Here you need to hold back and make that jump. I did that prematurely. If I didn't have the tail right there, we would have been crushed with the screen. Grisly death for Mario. Well, for anyone for that matter, come to think of it. A lot of folks who would appreciate or enjoy being crushed alive. You get up to that block in time and grab a 1-up right there. Hit it at the left side and you can have it drop down and scoop it up when it drops down to that platform right there. One of the trickier stages we've had in a while, actually. Very easily lose a life there. Grab 5 more. Nope. Lost it right there. Sometimes they hide an item. We got a hammer, which we don't really need anymore at this stage in the game. We can use it to knock out that pipe, but it just sends us back to that pipe at the left side of the screen, so no use for that. This is just your standard mushroom, fire flower, and leaf combo right here. No valuable suits to be had. Although in the next stage, hit this before we go into the fortress. There's a secret area on this stage. Give ourselves a little room to react here. Grab the tail. And we want to toss the shell. Alright, if you miss it, go back and grab another one. And if you miss it again, go back and grab another one. Thankfully, they keep respawning. We want to toss this shell just so it hits right there. There we go. Oh, whatever, it's worth it. Because as we climb this right here, bounce on here to the top of this and jump, and down the pipe we go, we get ourselves another Tanuki suit. Perfect insulation for Iceland right here, the harsh temperatures. And another coin area up here if you want to smash through and collect some more coins. We are coming up on 1,000,000 points, so that's right there waiting for us. Use our residual P meter right there to float down to the right here. Just gotta be very careful about where we're dropping because we have no idea what's beneath us at this point. Thankfully we have just enough juice in the tank to get to the end of the level. Mistimed that jump there, but not too worried about lives at this stage in the game. Now to open that lock, we do need to take on this fortress right here. Got a super leaf right there. If you still have the Tanuki suit, not a bad idea to statue here to keep yourself safe from the roto discs. Another enemy which, again, you'd have no way to defeat unless you had that ability. Gain some speed and we can fly up here. Grab ourselves a 1-up. Alright, this is, I kind of mentioned this earlier. Let's see if we can't collect this star and get to the, oh, I think we messed that up. See if we can get to the boom boom. Just gonna absolutely plow to the right here. And it's just, oh, there it is. And there's the upside down. Thought I remembered that. Nice. Not worth any extra, it's just a bit of fun. Alright, carry on now to 6-4. Totally worth giving up the Tanuki suit if you ask me. Alright, there's a hidden melody block which will send us to the sky right there. But I'm gonna hold off before I jump on that and grab this super leaf. Take us up to Coin Heaven, up in the clouds. Nothing above us for this one. No chest waiting for us either, just another pipe to send us back down. And as you're coming out, if you have a little bit of P left in your meter, go to the left. And this top one is a coin block we can smack a few times. Directly beneath us there's a P switch we can hit. And just with those, normally there'd be blocks in that one section out of the way, we can transition through this a little more easily. And going up and over is a little bit safer when it comes to those little spinning platforms right there, which can easily toss you down into a pit. Make up your mind, Hammer Brothers. Where are we going? Man, this would be a really bad time for the game to glitch out. Oh dear. Oh please. This is not, okay. Thought we were gonna have to run a contingency class on something else. Alright. We continue. Alright, this stage is interesting. Gain some momentum, but watch out for the enemies walking around at the bottom here. And we can fly up into this third gap. Grab ourselves a 1-up. Just killed his friend. Watch out, we do want to be able to have this flight ability here. If we get rid of these blocks, we can create a little bit of a runway for ourselves. And we actually want to have a Koopa shell with us, a Koopa Troopa shell, so go back to the right, and this one should have respawned. And there we are. Pick it up and get your P meter full again. Then we're going to fly into this gap right here. And we're going to launch the shell like so. And that is how we access this pipe. And that was that was sloppy. That's alright. And that's actually the only way to beat the level. If you don't have a Super Leaf, Raccoon Tail, there are plenty in the level. If you kept going to the right, then it would send you through some pipes and spit you out in an area where you can grab one. So they're always respawning there. I hadn't seen that before, though, from the Hammer Brothers. That was, even after dozens and dozens and dozens of times playing this game over the years. Still see something new. They're just overpowered for these poor Hammer Brothers at this point. Digging deep into the inventory, pulling out all sorts of tricks. All kinds of party favors. Alright, 6-6. Take the high road here and we can grab ourselves another fire flower, which is good considering we just lost ours. these cheeps jumping, transitioning between their little spots, and they somehow disappear in that water. We know they're in there. Water has to be freezing. I don't know if the fire flower keeps Mario a little bit warmer there, hopefully. Hopefully so. Go in the corner here and you grab yourself a 1-up. Another fire flower in one of those 2 boxes right there. I think it's the one on the right. Yep. The stretch is a lot easier between the piranha plants and the cheeps if you have the fire flower at this stage. Don't even waste time, just ABF at this stage. Just keep firing. Always be firing. And then finally, we are out. There you go, 6-6. We'll always have the memories. Moving right along, we still have our fire flowers. Might as well torch these Hammer Brothers while we're in their neighborhood. Or maybe when we got the fire flower, they're in our neighborhood class. Let's put it in those terms. So many unnecessary. I can count on probably one finger the number of times in which a star at the start of a level is actually helpful, but you know, it's a Mario game. You gotta have your stars, obviously. And no matter which chest you pull here, you will get yourself a hammer suit. Love the hammer suit. Probably my personal favorite. Just the ability to toss hammers it's fun. And then ducking and having the fireproof shell, that's nice too. Alright, so 6-7, we need to collect 78 coins to get the white mushroom house to appear. To do this, we actually need a fire flower near the end of this stage. This is probably the hardest one to trigger in the whole game because looked like that fire chomp just took a second to curse us out there. Because obviously all the pits, you want to be able to float more than you sink like a rock on this stage. I like to stay at the front, keep ahead of this. Here's our fire flower. Be very careful jumping at this point, class. We want to hold on to this fire flower. There's a 1-up right there for what it's worth. Grab that. Need to get every single one of these coins, or as many as possible. Ride these down and jump back up to safety. Not taking any chances. And if you make it through with your fire flower intact, you can use it to melt the ice cubes down here and collect the remaining coins you need to access the white mushroom house. And speaking of coins, let's talk about what a huge smash success this game was with Fluff.
When the game was finally released, it became a smash success in Japan and was the #2 best-selling game of 1988, second only to Dragon Quest III, which came out 8 months before Super Mario Bros. 3's October 1988 release date. Because of the whole wanting to release an easier Mario game for Mario 2 in North America, which led to the international port of Doki Doki Panic and the Super Mario Bros. 2 as we know it, something we covered in depth in our class in Super Mario Bros. 2. The international version of Super Mario Bros. 2 came out just 2 weeks before Super Mario Bros. 3 was released in Japan. Between Nintendo outside of Japan wanting to create a little buffer between their Super Mario 2 and the new Super Mario Bros. 3 game, as well as a 1988 shortage of ROM chips, Mario was delayed for the NES until February of 1990, 16 months after its Japanese release. This ended up working in Nintendo's favor, as it offered Nintendo the opportunity to tease and promote the lead-up to the game's release, which culminated with the game's inclusion in the December 1989 release of the feature-length film The Wizard, which I'll talk more about a little later. All total, according to a 1990 article from the Indianapolis Star, Nintendo spent an unheard of at the time $25 million promoting Super Mario Bros. 3. The investment proved to be well worth it, as the game became the best-selling game in Japan in 1989, and the best-selling game in the US in 1990. In fact, it sold more in 1990 than the next 4 years' worth of best-selling games combined. To date, the game has sold roughly 20 million copies, making it the third best-selling NES game of all time, just behind Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt, which earned most of their sales in being bundled with the NES. The game earned over $500 million in revenue for Nintendo by early 1992 alone, which, adjusting for inflation, would be well over $1 billion today. Adjusted for inflation, it remains one of the highest-grossing, non-bundled titles in video game history and has received numerous awards and been featured on countless best games of all-time lists.
Thank you very much, Fluff. Yeah, that is an eye-opener when you stop and consider the best-selling game for each of the next 4 years was basically the equivalent of what Mario sold in its release year in 1990, at least in North America. That's just crazy. 20 million copies. Truly impressive stuff, especially for the time, but this stage, nothing too crazy going on here. A few hidden one-ups here and there. There's going to be a nice little coin block in the sky once we hit this. If I could just hit it right here, P switch. I recommend going to the right here, getting your P meter up, and coming back into the right, and jumping, and then flying up, and then you can fly into this big old coin block right here. Or block coins, I should say. Very different thing when you're playing a Mario game when you say coin block. And that's 6-8. Nothing too crazy there. And this next level has one of my favorite hacks from this game. Admittedly, we're gonna miss a couple things, but I can't resist myself. This is how I like to play. 6-9 right here in Mario 3. It's difficult. Make sure you have some sort of tail when you enter this stage. It's difficult, but you can just about get your P meter up. Don't worry about not having a lot of momentum or anything. As soon as you have it, start flying and go up and to the right. You can go over this block of ice right here, drop down to the right, and just like that, you've beaten the entire level, bypassed a pretty decent chunk right there. There you go, pretty satisfying, and we're knocking on the door of 1 million points here. As we move on to 6-10, the only world in Super Mario Bros. 3 with a 10th level within the world. Here we want to grab this fire flower right here. And there's a P block, or a P switch, at the top of this beanstalk. And while we can enjoy jumping through this massive stack of coins, we want to hurry over to the right here. And then jump on these plants and melt them while they're still encapsulated in ice. And then jump up here. We can grab ourselves a free hammer suit. Pretty fantastic. Love tossing these things about, and we can save the one in our inventory for a very specific purpose a little bit later. We'll see how long we can keep this. Might not be long. Game's a lot more difficult when you don't have the power of flight. Even in the limited capacity that we normally have it in. Kind of a tricky jump here. You want to make sure you hit that with speed. Very careful with the spinning platforms right there. There you go. I even got the star. And there's our 1 million points. Very nice. Alright, moving on to the second fortress. It's not enough that they have 10 stages, but 2 fortresses on top of that. And we may well lose our... hammer suit here. I'm gonna try to hold on to it. Like that we can take down the boos with the hammer, as well as the thwomps. Like to try to use this. Oh, that was just. That's alright. Alright, note that the background goes up and down here. If you wait long enough, this door will be accessible. Just gap the boos. This takes us to the boom boom here. There's a lot more obstacles in the way. Trying to gum up our strategy, which Gary shared with us what seems like a very long time ago now. Roughly 3/4 through this game. Finally made it to the castle. Very appropriate. The seal on the throne. And you can't tell me every single one of these rulers would be better in human form. There's got to be one or two of them that probably weren't that good at their job to begin with. And they're like, you know, the people are like, well, our king's a seal, but at least he doesn't tax us to death anymore like he used to. I don't know. I like the color of the ship right here. The ships get a bit thinner the more you go on. And they're making more use out of these cylindrical screw type pieces here, so you want to make sure you get to the front quickly and start these micro jumps. As long as you don't panic, you generally will have time to get them where you need to make that transition jump. As always, much easier if you have a tail, but at this point, find the gap there. We'll do what we can. You have enough room to squeeze between these flames. Just have to do some tight stepping right there. Wait for the camera guy to pan up. There's our leaf. Almost looks like the camera goes up in such a way that it's all pit down there, but don't worry, you can still walk there. Kind of a hodgepodge of an airship. Anyway, Gary?
Boss beaters. Alright, Lemmy, avoid the balls and don't get cornered with Lemmy. Otherwise, jump on his head, left or right where we got more room, and 3 jumps or 10 fire flowers takes down Lemmy.
Thank you very much, Gary. Yeah, haven't done the fire flower yet. Keep mentioning that. Maybe when we get to Bowser, we have a more creative plan for Bowser, actually. We're going to show you quite a few strategies for dealing with the king of the Koopas himself. That is, yeah, I don't know. I think the seal was an improvement. No offense. That's very mean to this king, but whatever. Like a gold-plated outfit? Goldar from that's a dated reference, but 2 worlds to go. We'll bring Mario back for Pipeland and see if we can avoid offending him this time. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and comment on this video and click subscribe if you haven't already, as this seriously helps me to keep making great content for you.